Hi everyone. Today in my workshop I'll teach you guys how to change the CV axle in a Porsche 924 or 944. To do this I followed the directions at Clarkson's Garage. It's a really great website with resources for working on Porsche 944s. I really suggest checking it out.
So this is where the CV axle is. Under your car, I have my car jacked up right now. What's under the car, connecting the hub to the transmission. I filmed this after, so this is the new one I put in.
So to do this I bought a kit with everything you need. I also bought some extra grease. The kit had grease, but I ended up overusing it a bit. So I did use the other grease I bought. So I was taking my transmission out anyways, so it's out of the car. You don't have to do this, but I did because I was doing other things with the transmission out. So I didn't have to do this because I had the transmission out anyways. But if you don't, you should block the front tires and then put the rear of the car on jack stand so you can get in and out easier. Now the first step is to take out the old CV axles. They're held on with hex key screws. Now this was a lot harder than I thought it would be. So the bolts around it are all a 8mm 12-point tool that you need. So basically, I ran into two, or I guess three, strip bolts. Two on one side, one on the other. And I don't really know what I'm going to do about it. And it's kind of put me at a standstill. This is what working on old cars is like. You run into a dumb problem like a bolt being stripped, and you're at a standstill. You get those like things that like drill bits to undo them, so I might do that. I have three, so I guess I have 3 other attempts. Like, I do have an angled grinder, so I can grind off the top, but I just don't think that'd really get me any further, really. And they're covered in grease, so I can't really get a thing around them. Maybe that's what I should do, is try to clean them up a bit, see if that helps. So taking the old axle off the new axle took the longest in this project, which is kind of funny, but sometimes it just takes a long time to get things going. I used degreaser and a metal brush to clean it up. So to get the things out, what I had to do was use a screwdriver to put it in, the spacer, and then use a hex key to get it out. Since the nuts are located where they get muddy and stuff, you have to use a lot of degreaser and clean them off really well, I found. So one thing that is really difficult is the snap rings. I found I had a snap ring tool and that made it a lot easier. Here's an old CV axle I have. You can kind of see the internals. So it's the 6 bolts and then 2 layers. So here's it spread apart. So the centerpiece slides into here. And then you have to take these bearings and slide them all into it. There's kind of a knack for this. You will want to use a lot of grease when you do this, which the grease is really gross, so make sure you don't get it everywhere. I ended up having to clean this up overalls because of it. But yeah, so you can't push it in, and then this goes in. There'll be grease around. You have to do all 6. It takes a little bit of time, and then you put grease on it as you do it. So I didn't have any grease on it. This grease is like really aggressive grease, so it gets kind of everywhere, so watch out. Make sure you're not using it too much. Make sure you're keeping it clean. But yeah, that's kind of how it works on these. So here's a time lapse of me struggling to put it together. you might be able to tell based on like my change of facial hair, the change of my shop, but this video took me like 3 years to finish. And the actual project itself does not take long. Like, it takes an afternoon or a day. Like, it should be fine. It's just when I was working on it, I found out an old classmate of mine died in a car crash. And it made it hard to work on it. Because not that I was ever close with him, but it really reminded me of death and stuff. And I know you're just watching a video on YouTube on a tutorial on how to work on an old Porsche, and you don't really give a shit about my former classmate or this. I felt wrong not to include a part about it, because that was a big story within this project, and you know, it really added time to it and added perspective and reflection. And I think working on an old car, you should be reflective and perspective of keeping an old car alive. I don't want to say an old car is like an old person. Like, obviously, the death of a person is a lot bigger of a deal, but yeah, I don't know. It made me do a lot of thinking, and I would feel wrong not sharing it in this video, and I'm sorry to be a downer. So now we have to put the axle into the car. Thanks for watching. That is how you take out a CV axle out of a Porsche 944 and 924. If you want other how-tos on Porsches, please subscribe to this channel and other things in the shop too.